Once again, just wanted to do one quick video on my end of day plays and how I go about deciding what I'm going to trade for the day. So I'm just going to do a quick review of this one watch list. This is my preferred watch list. So the stocks that I like to keep an eye on most of the time because of their standard deviation tends to be at or around $10 for any given day or week, which gives me a bigger opportunity for actually making a profit a little bit faster because they actually tend to move. So as you can see here, Ulta today did a move from 358.59 down to 340. So it's almost a $20 move. So these stocks just tend to be the ones that actually have these kinds of moves. So that's why I have them on my watch list. So I'm just going to review these for now so that I can kind of cover how I go about picking my end of day trades. So one thing I do like to do first is pretty much start the list off on the weekly so I can see what the overall trend is on a weekly time frame for the stocks I'm looking at. So I kind of want to see if I see any patterns on them at that time frame. So you can see here on Ulta, we had a nice little reversal set up here after it hit that resistance once again. This is what happened last week, and this is how we're starting the week off this week already. So this is a kind of a signal to me that, hey, man, this thing may definitely come back down here to this 330 area and then potentially followed by this 304 area. So that's what I'm looking at on the weekly. So then let me go ahead and take a look at the daily and see if I want to take part on that. And as you saw on the RSI on the weekly, it was not at the oversold areas. So that means it does have room to continue to move lower there. And when I'm looking at the daily, it also seems to have room to continue to move lower here as well. And what I'm looking for is, hey, when both of these are below 20 like this, and especially when they form something like this, the next day is likely to be a green candle before it continues lower. So that's what I'm looking for as far as continuation. So, I'll add this one to my list as potential take for today, and that I may enter at the end of the day. And usually I'll enter these right at the end, 3:45 to right before the market closes, just because I want to make sure. Because if this thing starts to rally or something changes, I don't want to get in too early, or I'll get in when I see a pattern. Usually I start reviewing my end of day plays around noon, so that I can see if I can catch a pattern similar to this one here on the 10-minute. Where I say, you know what, this thing is already coming down hard. It gave me a beautiful entry opportunity here. And then this trade, because it wasn't entered in the morning, will be based off my daily, weekly analysis for a swing trade purposes if I would have gotten in here at 11:20 my time, which would have been noon Eastern time, okay? So that's what I'm looking at as far as that goes here, okay? So I'm looking at that. Actually, is this set to Eastern time? Okay, so this is set to Eastern time. What time is it here? 1400. Yep. All right. So the platform is set. So as you can see here, this was at 11:20. So it would have been a little early. But if I see this pattern form there, and I see that we are going lower, I'll probably still end up waiting now because I missed the entry. So, but this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the weekly. I'm looking at the daily. So now all I can see here is continuation as far Ulta is concerned. So then I'll move on to the next one, and also the volumes. As you can see, Ulta had a lot of volume today. And then the last piece I'll look at is, is this just a fake out? What's the reason for the move on Ulta? So one last thing I'll take a look at is the news, and see if that's the main reason why this is being affected, and if this is just a one-day sell-off or pop, depending on which direction this thing is going. But based on the daily and weekly, I have no reason not to decide to take a trade and continue going lower, and I'll just give myself a tight stop. So if I decide to enter Ulta, depending on where it is at the end of the day, let's say I would enter Ulta here at 343, my stop based on the daily would be 346. If Ulta starts to head back over 346, that's my out. And because I'm looking at this, obviously I'm not going to make my stop all the way up here. This is too far. But my target is down here. Again, the 320 would be my first level, followed by the 304 level down here, as you can see on the daily and on the weekly charts. And then I'll just move on through the rest of them. So Ulta is a potential short. Then I'll move on to the next chart and see if I see an opportunity here. And let's see, MKL. I don't see anything here, anything I like. Let's take a look at Amazon. All right, Amazon is moving sideways as far as it's concerned on the daily, so it's not doing much. It had formed a black candle on stockcharts.com, which signify a move lower here. So basically, when you get a gap up, it sells off. You probably get a couple of days selling off, but the overall trend here is bullish. So I wouldn't want to fight that trend here at this time because I don't see Amazon coming back down to these levels anytime soon. So yes, if you were able to take advantage and take that trade today, we remain objective. We take our profits, boom, and hit that target. But overall, the overall direction of Amazon is to the north. So it could possibly be retesting these 2050 areas. But I don't have a good entry here. So I'm not going to enter Amazon. I just don't see a very sustainable pattern just yet. RSI is just in between. It's coming off of the highs. So I just don't see an entry recent here so far. So this would be one I would just keep an eye on. And again, just box it in, take my trades daily. And unless it meets the criteria to stay in for a swing trade, then, you know, I would stay in if it meets the criteria or get out if it violates. And that's all it is. So Amazon, not a good end of day right now. Let's go take a look at BLK. All right, let's see. BLK, what do I see here? All right, no significant pattern on the daily. Let's see if the weekly has anything for us. No significant patterns on the weekly. And let me just go through the weekly on all of these first. Let's see if Apple has anything for us. All right, so on the weekly, Apple is just making higher lows. It seems to have found some sort of resistance here, but this is not a reversal pattern. So I wouldn't count on that to be a reason to take this short. It looks more like a continuation, and if it breaks above here, I would potentially take it long. But again, I'll just continue to box these in as long as I can and just ride them up. So nothing on the weekly as far as Apple is concerned. For a short play, looks more like something to continue the uptrend back to the all-time highs. And on the daily, again, no significant pattern or major reason for me to enter an end-of-day play here. Let's take a look at BLK. All right, no significant patterns here either. RSI, not at either oversold or overbought for the directional play. So looks more like a continuation back to these highs on the weekly. So we would box this one in the morning and let the market tell us which direction it wants to go, and then we'll take it in that direction. So on the daily, again, nothing. So the daily, you see the RSI is coming off of the overbought areas, and that's what you can expect. So once it breaks over the 80, both of them are above 80, you can expect a day later or 2 days later for this thing to want to come out of that area. So let's say you jumped in here. I mean, this is not a reversal pattern, so it's just tough to get in here. I would have probably got in on this one here, expecting that the next day we were going to have a down day, or just wait until the next morning and then just boxed it in and took a short, or in expectation to wait for the move to take a short, just because the RSI on the daily was giving you that signal that this thing may want to pull back before it continues to go higher. But again, no significant patterns here to take it a directional play, no reversal or continuation. This is on a bullish uptrend. So if anything, this thing may be wanting to go higher. And again, I'm just going to keep going through the list, the same process, just follow, check out my weekly, check out my daily until I find something that I just can't deny. Something that just tells me, oh my God, this thing is about to break down or this thing is about to rally. So here, what do I see? I see some kind of negative divergence on this RSI. So this could potentially be wanting to move lower. But overall, what do we have? It's an uptrend. This thing just keeps going higher and higher on the weekly. So let's see, what do we see on the daily? All right, we have negative divergence on the RSI on the daily. So this thing could potentially continue to move lower back down to this 50 MA here. Back to these levels of 550, 549. So I would definitely add this one to my list. And this one is at 620 now. And for it to get back down to 540, 550 area, we need, 70 points? So obviously it needs a month, according to this. So I'll give myself a month to let it come back down to those levels. And my stop, obviously, would be the high, a break above 638 here. trading this on a daily time frame. And again, you don't have to do single puts or calls. You can do these as spreads as well. So that way you have risk limited, but you're also limited by on limiting your profits. But at least you don't have to constantly monitor, and you put time on your side in the event that this thing just wants to continue going sideways, because this is what it has been doing. It's just going sideways. It peaked over to a new high, and now looks like it wants to reverse down lower. So a lot of people would wait for it to break this support area here. If I was going to take this trade, I personally want to take it, when I have these indications of negative divergence. I want to take it while I'm getting a good price so I can have a tight stop. I don't want to wait till it breaks here and have the same stop, because I want to be able to get out and keep my stops a little bit tighter so that I can take advantage of the move if it does win. And not all of them are going to win, guys. It's just the way it is, but I want my stops to be tighter so that my target, so if I'm targeting a stop, let's say I were to get in here at 621, my stop is 638. That's a, what is that? $15, $17, $16 stop for a $70 target. I like those odds. So again, depending on your account size, you have to adjust and make your stops or your trade sizes according to your account. So if your account can't handle that kind of a move on a single put, then you might want to do a call spread. And you say, you know what, let me do a 640, 650 call spread and let this thing ride down, let this thing expire. Now, if this thing is coming close to your stop, you know what I mean? Then you get out before you're in the red or before you lose a lot. Because when you're doing spreads, at least you're going to retain a lot of that value before this thing actually comes in the money, and then you actually start to lose a lot. Actually, I'm sorry, the vice versa. So would have lost a lot of value until it starts to come in the money, and now these things start to gain value and take your spread to a point where you're no longer making money or you're going deep in the red. So that's that. Okay, that's the Meli. And then I'm gonna just keep doing the same thing for the rest of them, guys, until I find something that I want to trade and put on a trade. I'll keep doing this for myself here until I find something that I want to put on trade for sure. So far, I'm keeping an eye on Alta and Meli. And then I'll just keep doing this until I find the ones that I definitely want to trade. And I won't trade all of them. I may do one, maybe I'll do two, and then I'll see what I can do from there. But anyway, guys, that's it for today's video on picking your end of day plays. I'll try to pick the ones and upload some of these end of day picks as I start putting them on more and more and more. Especially for the small accounts, I keep letting guys know. The small accounts definitely will benefit a lot more from end of day plays rather than trying to day trade. Trading based off of the daily candles is going to help your accounts grow a little bit better with a little bit less attention because you're trading off of a longer time period and you're giving the trade time to work. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe.